This is my first mobile,
Sorry.
this is my first
Modesto, huh?
mobile home deal, so I don't know how fast they approve.
Send me the MLS number or the address. I may have somebody out there.
Okay, Modesto. Okay, I will.
Yeah.
Nice.
Out there.
Very
Thank you.
good. Okay, Manuel, since you were up, what's going on in your world and Armida, buyers, sellers, showing property, anything maybe
Mm,
coming together?
yeah, I'm actually working on a few buyers. We were invited to a listing from the listing agent that we closed the transaction in King City a few weeks ago, and it's a very awesome ranch. It's 35 acres in down in King City, and it's beautiful.
Wait, so the listing agent invited you to a ranch for
She did an open house and she
oh,
invited me as a lender.
oh.
But she knows we're the agents, and me and Armida went, and it was beautiful. And I have some family members that might be potential buyers and some other clients that we've been reaching out. So it's just a matter of scheduling the showing, but we're not there yet. So one day at a time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Okay. All right. Very good. George, how about you?
He just closed.
I know.
Congratulations. Woo woo.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we just closed yesterday. Finally, after about a month and a week in escrow.
Okay. Yeah, it
So
got kind of scary there and you switched lenders, right? On that one?
this one really tested all the areas for me. We had, I think like 3 weeks in, we had to switch uh lenders. Then the final week we had to redo appraisal. Up until yesterday, we didn't have a key to the actual property
Oh my gosh.
on delivery. So it was like, I'm glad it's done, but they're
Did
all settled
you,
now.
that's good. Did you give them or did you set it up for their walkthrough, their, handing over the keys, and do you have that on film?
I got parts of it because, see, the house was supposed to be open and we got there and it wasn't.
Okay.
So I got parts of it. I still need to comb through them. But yes, they did after we got it open. We set it all up for them.
Nice, nice.
Mm.
Good. That's exciting.
I like your I don't know if it was the last house you just closed on, but you put the red carpet out.
Hmm.
That was a nice personal touch.
That
You
was
get
good.
creative.
I know. I complimented him on that too. As far as I know, he's the only one that's doing that so far. Really like that a lot.
That's super cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that from a Google Doc that I believe Shane shared a while back. And
Shane
so
doesn't even do that, right?
no, but
No.
I think he asks like just standard questions to try to help with like any little closing gift you're gonna get.
Right.
And so for that one, I remember they had said that they had the two dogs, so I got them little bowls.
Oh,
Paid
And
attention. The
mhm.
little details.
And then these guys, they have just one son in Aromas.
oh,
And when we got there, he was so excited because he saw hummingbirds towards the windows.
uh-huh.
So I got him a little bird feeder,
Oh, nice.
little cartoon one. Yeah.
Oh, good. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, all those little details, they make a difference, and that will keep you front of mind for them. If you didn't already ask them for a testimony and have them write something up, and then make sure you ask if it's okay that you print it or put it in advertising. And because while they're feeling good, you want to get those good vibes from them in writing. That way you can use it again and again.
How about
Okay.
you, Christina?
How about me? Oh, so I have, thanks for asking. So my deal on sand is we're waiting for the buyers in place to remove their contingencies. but they have an ask. They want to ask for more money. And the sellers, I'm dealing with the trust and the heirs and the attorney and trustee. So a bunch of people on that side. The last thing anybody in a trust wants to do is give up any more money. And these people are asking kind of for a lot, I think, and considering that there's a backup offer in place. And so I already gave the backup offer, all of the disclosures for the reports and the estimates of repair for everything. And I'm saying, hey, just in case, be prepared. If we move on to you guys, are you willing to take this property on for this tiny little amount for credit? And you take on the responsibility of everything else. And they have a loan lender, so they would want their loan contingency, but they would waive their appraisal contingency and remove all the other contingencies, and they're agreeable to that. So I let the sellers know that. So it's kind of weird because you have to play with two different offers. One's definitely in place and the other one's a maybe. So I have to make sure that that maybe is pretty solid just in case this one falls through. So I proposed all that information to one of the heirs that I'm talking to the most. And I said, hey, here you go. Here's the word back on the backup offer. They're agreeable to all of these items here in case this first one, in case you guys can't come to terms with the first one. But I think they're going to try and work with the first one. Of course, we want to because they're in place and they would close sooner versus dumping them and going to the next one. But the next one's going to take some time too because they're also alone. So, but
Is the big price, if you don't mind me asking, the sewer lateral? Is that what's
so it turned out that it was 10,500. So a lot less than we thought it was going to be. We were thinking more than 30 for some reason, but that's good. It was only 10,500. But there's other things that popped up, electrical, some gutter repair, etc. So what seems to be more on the minds of the potential buyers is the electrical, but they still are asking for the sewer amount and the electrical. So yeah, so we'll see how that part goes. But yeah, it's interesting dealing with all of that and kind of juggling with all of that as well, and the communications and ensuring that everything's uploaded into SkySlope and whatnot. So one of the things I was wanting to do today was jump in and do a preview of how to enter a listing into MLS, but I'm not going to do that yet because I found out that MLS, and if you're part of our MLS, there was a video that popped up, I think yesterday, it might've been yesterday. They, said that they're going to make changes to the MLS fields in the listing, on the listing side. When you're entering listings right now, if you go in there and you want to enter a listing, it has a compensation field in there for the buyer side. They're going to remove that, and they're going to remove anything else that has a hint of compensation out of it. All of that is happening on August 12th. They made that decision. So August 13th, when we go into the MLS, if we are representing buyers, there may be a field or an area for us to upload buyer broker agreements.
is that where they're going to put it? I was wondering where they're going to put that.
They're still kind of deciding if they're going to be able to put that there or just know that they could ask for it at that point. So they're putting it out there that we're going to ask for it at some point. So be ready, have them ready. We may have you upload them. So be ready. So just FYI to all of that. So until that, at forms needed and possibly available to MLS. Oh, and then they were saying that MLS, they were also going to, oh no, I lost my train of thought on that part. It'll come back to me. But so switching, but staying in the same lane of the forms. So we all knew that all of these forms were going to be coming out. I think there was a total of 64 forms that were supposed to come out. And at the last minute, they didn't, not all of them. They still released some forms, but everything that was really related to the listing side and all of that big, that form that Michelle, I know you and I saw it. where it had the first 3 pages that look like the purchase agreement. All of that is not going to be released yet. And we don't know when it's going to be released. It's going to have to be released, something from CAR is going to have to be released before August 17th. So they're going to have to come up with something. So in between now and then, be very happy that EXP has already put together some documents that we can use, and it's more than okay for us to use those documents. We have a listing agreement addendum that we can use, and I think they're going to be creating an actual listing agreement, an EXP version of the listing agreement. So and I know that that's been in the works. So as soon as that comes out, everybody will know. But what I did want to do was go over some of the forms that have changed that are in regard to representing a buyer. So what I want to do now is have, let's see, we'll go to, let's see, where's my share? And I think you could see this. Okay, standard. Okay, so some of the forms are the BFP. Where'd BFP go? Are they all in order? They are BFPI. Shoot. The BFPI. I don't see that in here. BFPI, not there. BFP, not there.
There's a
DMDR.
BHIA.
No. Well, we'll go to this one because so far these other 3 I can't find yet. Preview. This one here is, oh, I want to preview. No preview. Download. Oops. Download. Reps.
So a quick question on that you just said now that we're gonna possibly, I mean, obviously we're gonna find out how to do that to upload our broker agreement. So then by doing that, we don't have to submit it with our offer
Maybe not,
because the agent will have it on their site already.
potentially.
Okay.
More than likely. But one of the things that they did say was be vigilant in absolutely everything that is coming out. Read everything, take the time to watch those videos if you see them come out, whether it's from CAR directly to your email or NAR directly to your email or your association to your email. You want to stop and read those or make a point to read that information, because information is changing so fast, so quick every day. You want to be, if you have the pulse on anything, you want to have the pulse on the changes with the forms as fast as they're changing, because you don't want to have information that's a week old, because right now that might be, you know, especially if you're talking to a potential new client, you want to know, you want to be in the know. And EXP is wonderful for giving all that information out. So you definitely want to be aware of all of that.
There's a BFPI.
Yeah, here's the BFPI, buyer financial and personal information. This is a new one. This form helps the buyer agent assess the buyer's qualifications for the property that the buyer wants to purchase. Factors include amount and source of down payment, maximum loan amount, type of financing, whether the buyer currently rents or owns, whether the buyer has experience with property, or if the buyer is a real estate licensee. Information on the form is confidential, and the form is designed to be used with the BRBC. Now that might change. So it may or may not come out, but no, that's supposed to be a new one, but it was not in this form. I'm going to send you this page so you could see it because it's in CAR. But what I want you to do is check zip forms to see if you could pull these forms up in zip forms. Because they didn't pull up on that link that I showed you before this one, but check zip forms to see if it's there. The next one is the BIPP, which is the buyer identification of preferences and priorities. Many factors may affect a buyer's decision on which available properties to make an offer on. So the BRBC sets the minimum requirements to establish a broker's right to compensation, but the BIPP form helps the buyer's agent know what's important to a buyer, such as price, range, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, etc. This BIPP will replace the CAR buyer materials issue form. I don't know who's ever used a material issues form, but it's been there. What these two forms so far sound like to me, and let me know if you agree, doesn't it sound like the intake assessment that we've talked about months ago?
Yeah,
You want to have these conversations. It's so important so you know what your clients are looking for, how to find property for your clients, and then and then that way they're on the same page. You all had a conversation about all of these things at the get-go, at the front end before writing offers. So that's what a lot of these forms, it looks like, are forcing the conversation, which is a good thing. And then, of course, the broker compensation advisory. This is a one-page form, and it explains the listing agreement and how brokers get paid. And paragraph 1 discusses the seller side of the transaction and payments to the listing brokers and possible payments to the buyer brokers. And it also goes into buyer representation agreements, discussing the obligation to have a compensation agreement, payment options. So I know that these forms that CAR puts out can be very lengthy, can be very verbose with the words, and like attorneys wrote them because they have. So EXP is trying to take that layer out of them, and that's why they're creating their own to make it simpler and easier and transparent for the consumer. The next one is the DMBR. This is the disclosure modification to buyer representation agreement. So some questions came up. What if I'm charging X% to a buyer and the percentage is lower in the MLS? Well, as of right now, because it won't be, because it's not even going to be in the MLS, right? So you could use this form, but this form is used to modify the buyer representation agreement before that's been in effect already. So if I did BRBC with somebody a month ago, this form will correct my old form. It informs the buyer that the broker can no longer accept compensation that exceeds the amount specified in the BRBC once. So there's that. So it could also mean, what if you had an agreement for 2.5%, but tomorrow you write an offer and they're offering 3%? Can you get that 0.5% difference? No, you cannot. So this form would correct that gap. So there's that. And then you have one for the listing side also. So disclosure modification for the listing agreement. This form is used to modify a listing agreement in effect before June 2024. It informs the seller that offering compensation through the MLS will be prohibited once the NAR proposed settlement is implemented, most likely in July. Broker's efforts to offer compensation outside the MLS will satisfy the broker's duty to the seller. And so that's why EXP has their version of this form as well. And then there's a LPRBC, Limited Property Representation and Broker Compensation Agreement. One of the terms of the NAR proposed settlement is that the agents working with a buyer need to have a buyer representation agreement prior to showing a property. That includes, you know how right now that's supposed to happen with the agency disclosure? Right now, if you're talking to a brand new buyer, then you need to give them the agency disclosure right away, day 1, day 2 at the latest. That doesn't happen. That you usually see it is when you are writing up the offer, because it's included in the entire package of the purchase agreement. So most people don't sign that until the same day they're signing the offer. This LPRBC is supposed to help with clarifying that. It's unclear as of the writing of that summary, the LPRBC, if it's prepared by the Standard Forms Advisory Committee. This form, I bet you, is going to get changed again, because it has the Standard Forms Advisory Committee. They're the ones who actually make up all of the forms for CAR. It's a limited purpose buyer representation agreement. It's only available as a non-exclusive agreement, meaning it can only be canceled by the broker or the visitor at any time, has a maximum representation period of 30 days. So this would be good for like EXP already created the single showing page, they have that already. So again, it's pretty verbose. And then modification of terms listing agreement. Right now, you can use the modification of terms listing agreement. You're going to have to use whether it's the listing agent side or the buyer representation side. You just have to use which one is correct. And the form should be used to document a change if it's for the listing in the listing agreement, pre-printed language that's already allowed for changes to price and expiration. And for the buyer, it could be used to change language also, or change expiration dates that you already have for the BRBC. And then there's also the open house visitor non-agency disclosure. This one is that agents working with a buyer need to have a buyer rep agreement prior to showing a property. It's not clear as of the date of this writing or this being printed that requirement will apply to agents holding an open house. From what we know, if you are the listing agent, it doesn't apply to you. You don't need that, but it's going to apply to the agents that are holding open houses for other agents. So this form informs the visitors that they're not in an agency relationship with the listing agent and therefore not working with the listing agent. It's not known at this time whether such documents need to be signed or just be accessible to open house visitors. So that we'll get more clarity on as it gets closer to the August 17th date. What else is new?
Oh, you passed one here.
Security deposit exemptions. So that's a new form created to document if the owner is exempt from 1 month security deposit law or tenant is service member, thus making 1 month law apply even if it's owner exempt. That might, so that's for property management side, and that will depend on what it says tenant is a service member. So if they're military, right? So if you have clients that are possibly looking for rentals, and that's one of the things I don't think any of you are maybe really privy to, or maybe you have clients or haven't really considered, but there's a lot of realtors that represent finding tenants, representing their clients, finding rentals and get paid from it. So you can do that. You just cannot have a property management business and slap EXP all over the advertising of that, especially if you're not a broker. So, and an EXP does not do any of that, but they allow you to definitely represent a client if you need to find them a rental and you can get paid for it. So just be aware of that information. And with security deposit, you still don't want to touch any deposits at all. That just goes straight to tenant to housing provider, not you, not EXP or anything like that. Let's see what else is new. Wooden balconies, stairs, and other elevated elements addendum. So that is a new one. That form is for new construction or new existing construction communities. It's to begin January 1, 2025, requiring structures with 3 or more units to have inspections and repairs of wooden balconies, stairs, decks, if above ground. Seller is obligated to deliver a copy of the inspection report to the buyer with other seller documents. I haven't heard about this one at all. So what the history of CAR and the forms, usually whenever there's a new form, for whatever reason, there was a lawsuit somewhere. So maybe a new builder built out a bunch of houses that had balconies that after 10 or 15 years, since these balconies are, you've seen them, I know you guys have, they're like maybe a foot off the window and you can't even get out there and hang out. They're just for looks, really, more than anything. Well, if there's an open door to at least peer out, you know, 1, that's a hazard. 2, there's leak possibility. And 3, if you can't really access that balcony, how are they really being maintained? Hard to say. So it maybe that falls on the HOA, maybe not. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, there was an issue. So that's why we have this new form. And it's going to be specific, from what I understand, to new construction only. Let's see. I think that's it for now with all of the new items. that are supposed to be available in zip forms. So I'll make a point to send this out with the recording to you guys, so you at least have this to review. One of the things I also wanted to talk about, so I think he's not here. Oh, so Ruben's not here because he is out doing his Avid today for a property. He got in contract, yay, Ruben, and doing an Avid. And I just wanted to remind everybody, when you're doing your Avids, your agent visual inspection disclosure, whether you're representing the seller or the buyer, you want to treat it or remember that you're noting anything that's a material fact, anything that is of noteworthy, something that's going to be called out in inspection, or if there are no inspections, then you need to call it out. It proves that you're there on site. You've been into every room of the property. You're not just looking at pictures or, in Southern California, trying to represent a property in Northern California and not having driven up, the time or flew over to take the time to do that. That's a no-no. You definitely want to be able to say, yeah, I was at that property. I visited. There's cracks in the sidewalk coming up to the front door. There are trip hazards, or there's holes in the walls. You never want to say those are big cracks or large cracks or small holes or big holes, or you never want to say the size of anything. You never want to say that a discoloration in the ceiling or the wall or anything else is anything other than discoloration. If you say it's water damage, are you a water damage inspector? Oh, you're not? Oh, you're going to be liable in court. Are you a mold inspector? Did you say it was mold or mildew? You can't say any of that, even if you know, because you have experience having that in your own home for whatever reason. You can't say that. You have to say discoloration. So you just want to be super clear as you can. You want to be general and vague to some degree, but you also want to point out things that are very serious. There's, hole, trip hazard, tree and sidewalk, or, things that are very factual. And if you walk into a home and it's actually brand new and there's nothing wrong with it, then you write nothing to note in the lines that are provided. And you want to make sure that if there's any other structures on the site, you note those in there on the page 3. I think there's a line that says other, and it has other lines on there. You say shed and backyard, blah, 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 and you write down whatever it is, or additional unit. If it has 2 units on the property, then you want to do an Avid for each unit. If it's a multiple unit residence, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 units, you're going to do an Avid for each unit. Okay, and the same thing for a TDS, transfer disclosure statement, the same thing for SPQ, seller property questionnaire. And what else?
Can I say something real quick? If you're
Yeah,
using,
please do. Go for
you're
it.
using Glide, I use Glide. I'm not sure if anybody else uses Glide. What I love about the Glide app on your phone is that while I'm there doing my Avid, I'm able to take pictures and upload it and do everything there at once. And I can go home and, fix anything maybe that I didn't write right, and then submit it, and it uploads all the pictures and everything all at once. So if you have connection and service at that property,
Oh,
it's a blessing. It's amazing.
what if you don't have service out there? Do you just print it out and take it with you?
So yes, I have a printed form just in case, and or sometimes I'll have a blank one, maybe as a draft or something that I printed from a car, just to make hand notes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm going to upload it on my Glide and do it that way, and be able to type it up and or something I might have missed or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Glide is maybe.
No, that's good. Anything else? Please share. Throw it out. Throw it out. If you have questions about anything, I did remember I wanted to share something else.
I have a question regarding the up and coming forms that we're gonna have available.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot which one specifically, but I think it was the one regarding the 30-day representation.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so is that one single showing, or is it 30 days, as many showings in that 30-day span?
That is for, that's for the single showing. You could do it for one day, or this one that was the LPRBC form, the Limited Purpose Buyer Representation Agreement. So this one's, and again, remember, it might stick, or it might change, or it might be removed altogether. But if this one does come out, this is what it's proposedly supposed to be for. And it would be for, let's say you have Zillow leads or some other company leads, and you call this buyer, or this buyer calls you, hey, I want to see 123 Main Street. Sure, I can meet you out there. And as soon as you get out there, okay, but before we go in the house, I do have a document I need to go over with you. We can either go over that document on site, or we can meet at a coffee shop ahead of time. What's your preference, etc. And you can go over that. That document will at least cover that showing, or up to 30 days. That's if you use the CAR form. You don't have to use the CAR form. You can use EXP's forms that they have. And EXP's form, I don't know that there's a time limit on the single one, other than it being like for that showing for that day. I don't know that it's longer than that day.
I have a
EXP
single one.
form?
You have it, Michelle?
I'm looking at, let me see where I just looked at it the other day. Okay, so I have a single property buyer broker agreement that I just printed, and it just says length of agreement. I mean, you guys said no more than 30 days, so it doesn't say here exactly what the length of agreement be, so.
Okay.
Um,
No, that was a CAR one that showed 30 days on here.
yeah, this one's from EXP. Length of agreement, this agreement shall begin on the date last signed by broker and buyer tenant, and will automatically end on whatever date at 11:59 upon the closing or termination, or then pending transaction, whatever.
Very open-ended, that one. So that's good.
Okay, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's good. That's a lot better. And then the one where you are getting you and your client have had that conversation, and they agree to be your client, your buyer, and you are going to be exclusively their agent. That one cannot be longer than 90 days. That one can't be longer, at least as of right now. And that's the one from EXP, because we want to say, hey, buyer, there's transparency. We're not going to handcuff you to us. If you want to go, it's okay, you can go. But while I do need some committed time, because I am going to be putting in the time, the effort, and the research to find you the properties, and it's a reciprocation, right? I'm going to be doing all this for you. And what I ask in return is time and payment based on a successful close of escrow and something that I might find for you. And then if they agree to that, then they sign that. But every 90 days, you just need to create a new one as of
Got
right
it.
now. Yeah.
And that's the car version or the EXP version?
EXP version.
Okay,
EXP versions are way easier to understand and explain.
Simplified it.
Yeah, very simple.
right.
Um,
And those are available where again?
You put the link last week, I think, right? Or the week before?
yeah, I'll send the link again.
Okay, I missed last week. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, you can go on EXP. I she'll send you the link, but on EXP, they have all the forms that they're for the BRBCs.
Okay, so what I want to go here and
You have 2 minutes and 50 seconds left.
oh my gosh. Let's see. Let me just try this one and see if it works. This one, I'm just going to pretend active. Oh, I should have did this. Let's pretend. What I want to show you something I just found out by accident. Maybe you guys knew this. I didn't. Come on. Results. Can't be. iPhone. Oops. So, come on. Oh, hang on. What I want to show you. Well, let's just pretend. I'll just pick this one. Okay. Come on. Open. Okay, so this one here that I just selected by accident, Let's say the buyers say, oh, that looks like a good price. It's been on 29 days, but do you think they'll take 1.8 for it? Well, you know, they might. Let me have a conversation with the agent and call her and find out what the deal is, why they're leaving, what's the motivation, etc. You know, anything she could share. Or I could also, in addition to that, click on this one, view comparable properties. Click, and then it's going to show me a list of properties. I just found this literally. I am finding new things all the time in MLS. I'm like, huh, that is so cool. I got to share this with everyone. Assuming it opens up in less than a minute. Come on, come on. Oh my gosh. Of course. Okay, here we go. So this one shows, whoops, within half a mile, a quarter of a mile, or whatever, up to a mile, up to 2.6 miles away. It shows all the properties, whether they're active, expired, sold, contingent, pending, what their status price is, acreage, you know, all the stats. This is going to tell them, okay, is this something that could work for them? So if I click all of them, I'm going to say create CMA. And I'm just gonna, let me just pick myself. And then I'm gonna say finish. I'm not gonna even adjust it. Let's just look in view and see. I can adjust it if I want to, but otherwise it's gonna throw it all together and it's gonna give me a little something that I can send over to my clients. And it's gonna say, here's what's active. Here's what the average price is on all of these here.